For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand Podcast, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast that lets us talking to the football. And on this episode, it is a season 2024 review. We're going deep into the depths of Sam Stone Street and Sifa Talakai and Jack Williams and Nico injuries and Braden Trindle magic in the finals. Joining me on this episode is my two dear friends, Stephen Franklin. Hello, sir. And Matthew Williams, who both did a terrific video just last week on the off-contract players. Franco will be happy that there's chat of Britton Nickera signing a long-term deal or being negotiated. I haven't seen any news because I am in London. Franco, that's got to make you happy, doesn't it, mate?
Mate, I hope they're positive talks because I would love him to stay. So, yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, bring on Britton Nickera indeed. And yeah, back for in the off-season, Matty Williams, 2024. Is it the new 2015?
I'm not sure. I hope so. I don't think so. We haven't signed James Maloney in the off-season, so maybe not. But maybe. I don't know. It's another season under the belt for everyone. Everyone's getting up close of or north of 100 games now, so maybe we'll see some more experience and some more development and some next step being taken. I don't know. It's exciting.
Well, it's a great time to be a Sharks fan. I went and rewatched all of the 2024 matches, and I've entered in the text from all of the transcripts of all of the ET Stand episodes into ChatGPT so that we can ask ChatGPT who it thinks is the Cronulla Sharks best player from 2025, and who knows whether that's going to be accurate or right. So what we've got tonight for you.
Did you include the Chronicles episode? Because surely Nick Graham or Tawera Nickau would be up there.
I didn't include the Chronicles episodes, but I did have to correct ChatGPT because I asked it who was the worst Sharks player this season, and it answered Matt Moylan because it thought that we kept saying that Matt Moylan was the worst Sharks player. So it still seemed to think that Matt Moylan, given how much we, or maybe I, seem to talk about him. So we're going to go over the you guys ready for this one? We're going to go over the preseason predictions. We're going to go look at the round-by-round reviews and all of the key happenings from all the matches. We'll do those pretty quickly. We're going to look at ChatGPT's answer on who it thinks based on the transcripts, because next season we're going to have better player rankings. So as we approach 500 subscribers, apparently we're on 499. So I'm hoping one of our very few video live viewers, if you're not subscribed, go do that for us now. We'll have Boldo's end-of-season player tiers, and we're also going to give out the prize for the best comment from the end of the season. So without further ado, boys, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's add to the stage. Season 2024, Boldo report card and more random stuff. All right, let's get into it. So firstly, at the start of the season, when we launched the ET Stand, each of the panelists were asked to make a bunch of predictions, and let's go have a look at those predictions and how we did. So in terms of a positional finish, Williams was pretty optimistic with the top four, but not as optimistic as Kelly and Latz. Kelly saying that we would be battling for the minor premiership, which wasn't quite right. Franco on the money with the fourth position finish. And Boldo was a little bit more pessimistic at the start of the season, saying that we would finish sixth. So Franco and Williams have got themselves ahead there. Yes, Matthew?
I will say Kelly and Latz would have been on the money if we didn't go through that little mid-season slump, and should have been on the money. We actually performed better than I thought, obviously better than you thought as well, and should have been in and around that first, second, or third if we didn't drop those winnable games.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, Williams. We finished where we finished, and I said that we would.
I know.
All right, the next thing we predicted was the Tommy Hazelwood tries, and I thought Matty forgot to answer, but he put his hand up and said it was 3. Now, I went and checked the tape, and I actually put that he would score 8. Which is actually the number that he ended up on. So a rare victory for Boldo, and a rare blight on Franco's scorecard. Spoiler alert, Franco does pretty well on these. Let's jumping ahead to the bold predictions. Matty,
would
yep.
like to say that we were good enough to know that Hazleton would score a bunch to put it as a category to vote on,
That's
because
true.
he can sniff a try, and we knew.
That's true. We
A
knew.
lot of pundits were surprised that he could score a try, get a meaty himself. So it was good
The
that we
the question should have been, how many players will he beat through lateral movement against the Cowboys? The answer was 2. A shimmy and a step.
I tell you what, he sets up some tries, Tommy Hazleton, too. Like he's like an absolute beast. All right,
And
now
his catch,
then we
I think it was against the Bulldogs. It was the Bulldogs and Dragons won the games at home. Catch from a dropout, overhead mark. I'm not an AFL fan, but it was impressive. He's a footballer.
That was so good. All right, bold predictions. Matthew Williams, if you go back and watch the tape, we will beat the Panthers at home. Well, we know how that one worked out. Kelly said we will get some luck in the semis, which actually we didn't really get. We're a bit unlucky in the semi-final against the Cowboys, which let them back into it. Latz said that Nico would play all 3 Origin games. Well, we know how that one ended up. Franco said that we would be finished 4th, but on 4th on 4 and against, which wasn't quite right. And I made the bold prediction that Talakai is a gun centre and will be centre all season. So we know how those ended up. That didn't do so well for us. Popo. And then each of us were asked, will players have a breakout year? So Williams said Trindle and Kafusi will grow, which was proven to be correct. Kelly said Nico will not get picked in Origin as a utility, which was also correct. Lat said Kafusi and Royce would have standout season, which was both true. Franco with the big one, though. Who's coming from the clouds? Hero and Stone Street, and then Boldo through with who's going to have a gun season? Cade Dykes. Well, everyone was right other than me on that one. Womp womp.
How's Lucky Miller going? Lucky Miller going?
Well, actually, going back and watching our episodes, you can see us talking about whether we're going to miss Connor Tracy or not. Didn't miss him for a second. All right, in Shark Park news, we were all asked. Williams said that the Holmes finals chat will be revisited. That was proven to be true. Kelly said that we'll have a home semi. Wrong. Lat said the league club will open it all. Well,
is it technically right that we had a home semi at Allianz?
Oh, that's true. Maybe we did have a home semi. Then we had Franco coming out with the Leagues Club will open in 2025, which is what Dino said. And then Boldo said the Leagues Club will never open.
So that said August.
Those 2 are still in dispute, Franco, but I'm giving us both ticks because currently we're both right.
Well, we're not wrong.
We're not wrong. And then
Paul
in a few
Latz
random
was very
statements,
optimistic.
Williams comes through. Hero will be in the team by the end of the season. Siffer to the bench. Goodness me, wasn't that one correct? Well done, Matty. Kelly said we won't be depleted by Origin. That was correct. Latz came through with Toby's will have a form dip and Jack Williams will leave. He was spot on. And then how good's Franco's one here? The Leagues Club will open in 2025, but we will have a Chinese restaurant sooner than that.
I call insider trading. Insider trading on that one. Surely he knew something.
And then I said that we should play 4 forwards for the whole season, which was also proven to be correct. And then in the finals matches, well, look, we're all pretty positive with Kelly and Latz being probably a little bit too gung-ho. Franco was on the money saying that we'll win a final in week 2. Williams said we'd make it to the prelim final. And I was on the fence and didn't do a video, but then changed my mind 4 weeks in after the form and said we'll win one playoff match. So we did all right on that front. So actually our predictions were pretty good heading into the season. The Sharks, we were feeling pretty good about the season, thought we were in some good off-season form. And so it transgressed to what we thought. Franco, what's your reaction to those predictions and looking back at what we felt at the start of the season?
Oh, I think it was, these sorts of things are generally just a bit of fun. It's always interesting to think about how it will go, similar to, predicting the top 8. If you're right, that's great. Some are more right than others. I'm happy to say I've got a few green ticks there next to my name, but ultimately, as William sort of started to touch on at the beginning there, the bounce of the ball or a blow of the whistle can change some of these pretty drastically. But overall, I think it was good that we were positive that the Sharks were going to have a good year, and they did. That was the main outcome.
My biggest
Let's
takeaway,
definitely
so
agree.
myself and
Yeah.
Franco now has stuff, and the rest of you can go and get stuffed. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. That yes, Franco is right. It's all a bit of fun, but I will go to the video, my one on the Panthers. So it was in a period of we had Storm, Roosters, Panthers, Eels, and all the media were focusing on the hard run, saying Sharks will go none from 4 because they can't beat anyone of quality. Well, Eels proved not to be quality, and we couldn't beat them, but we obviously beat the Roosters and the Storm. So the biggest takeaway out of this year was the fact that we started winning games against quality opposition, started winning big games. We won a finals match. We pushed Penrith for a bit, and we pushed Melbourne for a bit as well. We started showing where previous seasons, the previous 2, we fell over and didn't even put up much of a fight really against quality opposition. This year we started competing and winning some of them. So that's a big step forward.
Dean 180 has come through in the comments saying Master of Puppets will be the new Sharks walkout song. All right, Dean, we're going to hold you. We're going to hold you that one. Dean, you are in the draw for the best comment of the year. So do hang around because you might be the winner. All right, that was the season predictions. Let's get into the season whole. So broken it up into 4 main categories, rounds 1 to 11, because we all know what happened there. Then the period after Nico, then the end of the season, and then the finals is how we broke it into. So we'll just kind of look at each match quickly. The boys can interject where they remember that anything kind of key happened, and we can go from there. I have listed out the 3-2-1s. Sonia's just come through and said, congrats, Jets, just hit the 500. Well, thanks for whoever did that. Thank you. That is so exciting because we need to hit the 500 so that we don't have to rely on me putting all of the transcripts from the season's ET Stand podcast into ChatGPT and then asking it who was the player of the match. So the player of the match has been determined by who we basically talked about and said at the end. And I went and checked them a little bit, and it is pretty much on the money. So the Warriors match, we got up 16-12. It was a strong enough start. We got lucky with their hooker, Egan, getting injured. It wasn't looking good for a little while, but then it was just typical Talakai and Mulatalo getting that key try and teaming up for us for a round 1 win, which at the time, Matthew Williams on the ET Stand podcast called out that we frequently do not win round 1 matches, but it was just the old firm, Ronaldo, Talakai, and Kennedy. Williams, do you remember anything of the Warriors match?
Oh, I remember a lot. We were down 12-0 before I blinked. I think when I got dinner, came back, and my 6-year-old, he just turned 6 at that stage, was blowing up deluxe, to use a terrible Fox Sports or rugby league term, we're down 12-0, we're going to lose by 40. And I was like, geez, I've made this little midget human jaded already. But we came back so well. So Warriors came off a prelim last year. We got towed up by 40 odd over there last year and down 12-0 early. Vanilla Blake scoring a try and then just worked their way back into it. And I think it was Ronnie from memory that scored the winner. I think it was tries.
Ronnie scored the winner after some good Talakai build up.
Was it Talakai, Ramian, and Ronaldo? I can't remember, but it was 3 tries. It was a awesome win, and I felt enormous confidence after that. The Warriors proved to not be the same force they were last year, but getting that win was so good in front of a packed, sold out Mount Smart. Such a huge win for confidence, especially after that start.
All right, that was the round 1 match. All right, so then we went on to round 2 against the Bulldogs, which was notable for Nickera being put on report in this match. Was very close at halftime with a 6-all, and then the Sharks just kicked away 25-6. And actually, Nico was an absolute gun in this game. So if you remember at the start of the season, Nico got the 3 points from the Warriors game, and everyone's like, "Oh, why did Nico get the Daily M 3 points?" And then in this game, he was actually on absolute fire. Teague was also very strong in this game. And the Sharks just basically outperformed and outblitzed the Bulldogs in the second half. Franco, have you got any, other than the Nickera suspension, which seemed a bit harsh at the time, any other key memories from this one?
Well, this was one of those scenarios of us doing what we were expected to do, right? So we did come in with a bit of pressure after beating the Warriors that we are the better team. The Bulldogs, while have improved, we should beat them. And Sharks fans can get a bit nervous when we're supposed to beat a team, but we just did what we were supposed to do. You're right. It was close in the first half, but then we just kicked on and ran away with it. It was a really good match.
Referee Ziggy got in the way of I think it was a kick-out try. He got in the way, impeding, I think it was Will Kennedy from memory, which would have been a key try. I'm not sure if it was the third try or the first try. It was one of them. And we got the rub of the green there, so to speak. And I remember Phil Gould was blowing up in the media a lot about that, which would have been crucial. Bulldogs were physical early. We'd only played them in a trial a couple of weeks before, and they were physical in that too. And they went through the season proving that they were improved a lot, but we got the points, which were good.
And then, as Franco said, Sharks frequently known for losing to teams when they should beat them. Got bounced out by a Appy Coruscant-inspired Tigers team, which has also resulted in a ban of opposition players being put in the ET Stand podcast thumbnails because Appy tore us up. Tom Hazelwood actually got the first try. And then from there on out, it was just all Tigers, and we just got absolutely blitzed. I don't even know if we want to talk about that one. Do we want to mention anything on that one or just move on?
The only comment I have is I was about to disappear for work for 5 weeks to the middle of nowhere up in northwest Australia with no reception or any of that jazz. And this is the last game I watched in full for about 5 weeks. And gee, it was a sight to behold. Or not.
Our debrief episode after this one exploded.
It did, didn't it?
Certainly a lot of fans there eager to vent off the back of a loss to the West Tigers.
Never waste a good crisis.
Yeah, oh God! And not only that, the 3-2-1, the ChatGPT didn't even spit out a 1 point for me. It doesn't. I basically just said everyone was shit.
Hazelden scored. Hazelden scored.
Yeah, Hazelden scored. Interesting that when we lose all the matches, Talakai seems to get this. Talakai tried hard. So when we're in the losing matches, Talakai just seems to prop up in the 3-2-1s a lot. And then Rudolph was okay. But yeah. So yeah, Sharks, 2 from 3 to start the season. And then we went on a little bit of a run. The Sharks then took on the Raiders in round 4. The Raiders went ahead early, 18 blot, with the left side defense of the Sharks just being classic left side of the defense. But then you started to see that idea, and we saw it against the Warriors too, the strength of the bench starting to show. Brayley got that kick try where it bounced funny. Iro got his first try, and we just had that epic comeback against the Raiders. And Ricky was a bit blowing up at the time. Now, that just seemed a bit of run against the play. You just thought at 18 blot, oh, goodness me, Sharks. Williams?
I'm so happy I didn't see this game live. I was, as I said, out in the middle of nowhere, no reception. Finally saw the score after the match and went, wow, that's a good win. And saw I think I mentioned on the group chat, and Chris Kelly said, well, down 18 blot. And then I saw the timing of the tries. I'm like, oh my goodness. Then saw scratchy coverage of the highlights. And my favourite parts of the match from the brief parts I saw was Daniel Holdsworth with his best play since that 45-metre field goal against the Cowboys in 2014, running in front of Foggy and the media blowing up when he missed it, which would have got him back within 6. And obviously Kale Leroy's first try, which, let's face it, he almost dropped it. But anyway, they gave it, and it's a try. He got off the mark, and he scored 6 more, and we went from there.
Franco, was this when you had the broken ribs? You missed this match with the broken ribs. Is that right? Or that not happened yet?
No, I watched it on the couch.
But you couldn't come down to Shark Park to watch it. I remember. I'm trying
to think. No, I was there. I was at the Raiders for this match. This was probably the week before I broke the ribs. I remember because Lats was just on cloud 9 for hours after this one. He had his heart palpitations and then the recovery, and so he needed a bit of calming down before he went live on the debrief. He was just going gangbusters.
It was a good comeback indeed. All right, then we had the bye. Then we had round 6 against the Rabbitohs, where Ronaldo was just on absolute fire in this one. That left side attack just absolutely carving it up with the wingers. Just started whooping them. Rabbitohs coming back a little bit at the end. But they was just telling that the Rabbitohs weren't really up for it. Just another regulation Sharks one. Matty?
All the talk pre-game, I think, had their coach been sacked.
The coach had not been sacked yet.
Not been sacked. So it was all that.
Been sacked.
All that talk about, South will be out, South will fire. And like all these games, probably gets repetitive that we say all the hallmarks of a Sharks loss, but it did. And we came out, got the job done. South's had a bit of a flurry later on with the George or Tom Burgess, whoever the Burgess is that scores or that plays for them now, scoring for them and a bit of a comeback. But we had this one in control, in the bag throughout.
While it wasn't on the predictions table at the beginning of the the episode, it's probably worth giving CK a bit of credit here. He called out very early that Rabbitohs were going to be in for a bad season, and
He did.
not a lot of people
He did.
believed him till probably around this stage.
Yeah.
So much media talk about them being top 4, the Dan Ganane darlings, all that jazz, and yeah.
Nah, they didn't have a halfback. You can't win without a halfback.
Nah, but the media doesn't see that. They're in Latrell's just.
Well, and Lat's even picked in the pre-match stuff that Demetrio would get sacked was actually his pick. All right, then we go to round 7 against the Cowboys as we keep hitting through these. And we didn't have the greatest start, but then Drinkwater dropped the ball for a kick for Kennedy. Tommy was charging them through the middle. This was the Sam Stone Street debut match. And Nico was just absolutely carving them up in this one and got the 3 points. Trindle was also pretty good at the time. It was 5 wins in a row at home for the Sharkies at the time. Just an absolute shellacking of the Cowboys. Franco?
This was a fun match.
Yeah, wasn't it?
This was a really fun match. Just the energy that there was as well, with Stone Street jumping into the corner with his fans. The bounce of the ball, as you mentioned, with Drinkwater was just classic. Because while the scoreline shows that we ran roughshod over the Cowboys, there was a moment of, the Cowboys are all over us here in those first sort of 15 minutes. And then the floodgates opened, and it was just a pleasure to watch.
Trindle with a double before he then
before he
made some
disappeared.
decisions later that night, which we've all been young, we've all done things like that. But Trindle was a standout. But Nico as well. Looking, before the prelim against Panthers, I watched a few of these highlights back, and both Nico and Trindle there as a halves pairing worked. Both as halves combining and individually were fantastic. And I think that I don't want to steal your thunder, Boldo, but we'll talk about Nico later about whether he has quality or form or what. But this was definitely one of those ones where you're like, wow, he's definitely something special.
Oh, Nico was in absolutely electric form. And then the Sharks head down to the Raiders, and all the talk is, the Raiders are going to be pumped up after letting the Sharks come back from an 18-0 deficit. But then Nico, masterclass, absolutely carves them up. This is funny because in this match, Cam McInnes scores a try, the first Sharks try, and his face is already bleeding and looking classic. Cam McInnes. Atkinson was the 5'8" for this team. There's a big try for Tommy, which just started letting the floodgates open up. And then it was just the story of the forwards just getting over the top of the Raiders, and then the fast shifts out to the outside backs, and then the guys just scoring around them with Ramian doing some stuff. There's also a few cool Kennedy runs from this one. This will be another one that Franco will say was just an absolute pleasure to watch.
This was, 3 weeks ago we were playing the Raiders, and here we are with them again. It was a bit of deja vu, but we just trounced them. It was awesome. Always a bit funny playing the Raiders in Canberra. I know Williams was a local for a little while there, but the cold weather does funny things on a football field, and never quite sure, but yeah, killed them.
Overall, we have a good record down there, but lately, before the final round of 2023, we hadn't beaten them since, was it 2018 or 2017? It was a bloody long time. And then now we've won the last 3 straight. In my preseason prediction, I said we'd play them twice in 3 weeks, and we would lose at least one, probably both. And I was very wrong there.
And then we welcome the Dragons to a match at home, which is always a chance of kind of doing us in. And this was the story. It's interesting that we called out that Teague was the man of the match, because my notes has that Tommy was on absolute fire, setting up a try for Kafusi after a brilliant run from him, and then him also getting a crash play. There was a key moment where Hines set up a try for Talakai when we really needed it. Jack Bird got the first try for the Dragons and was a bit of a pest. And then it was 8 straight wins against the Dragons, or the Dargans. It was the Dargans match, this one.
Is that ChatGPT? Because I thought Ravalawa scored both tries, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm thinking of the...
I thought we had an error and Ravalawa scored in the corner early. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, no. I'm thinking...
Ravalawa did score 2 tries in that match.
I'm thinking Jack Bird in the later one scored the first try. That's right.
Yeah.
Ravalawa did get him back into He was actually looking pretty good from memory of the Ravalawa one. That's
This
right.
is the one where the ground was underwater pre-match. The northwest corner was underwater. They did the Sunday Footy show across there, going, the game might be rescheduled, postponed, change venue. Dino was apparently seen at Bunnings somewhere, Kirrawee, Tarrant Point, not sure which one, trying to find a pump. I think that was an urban legend. Surely he wouldn't be the one going to do that, but you never know. And then we go down and
Great
look
urban legend,
composed.
that one.
Yeah, so good result.
Yeah, so look at that. Sharkies, 7 from 8 matches. And then this one was a biggie. The one where Nico then got injured and was Nico injured or was he out for Origin?
Are you sure that
No,
score's right?
Which one? The
Against the
20 to
Storm?
6.
26 against the Storm?
Yeah, look that up. That doesn't. Was it close?
20,
I thought it was
25.
closer.
25-18.
Yeah.
25-18.
Yeah, it's 25-18. Yeah, that's a mistake. There you go. I can't be perfect. Yeah, that's right. It was 25-18 because it was back and forth.
Half.
That's right. It was back and forth, and then Tapua got the crash play at the start, and then it was back and forth, and then Atco got the field goal for the 19-18, and then there was the try off the kickoff where Ronaldo called it, and Talakai was good night. And then it was called the best start to a season since 1999. So,
which is
clearly the 20 to 6 there. I'm trying to think what I must have cut and pasted that from, but never mind.
Blame chat.
What else do you remember?
But...
Well, no, that wasn't the ChatGPT. Well, that was just me cutting and pasting. So clearly there was another score that was 20 to 6 in your Chronicle series because I used that as the baseline. Franco, any commentaries on this one? This was a big moment, this match, wasn't it?
We were all done and dusted before a ball was kicked for this one. The bad news just kept rolling in, and in the end, it didn't matter. Atkinson came on. He did what he needed to do. This was one of the ones where we were a little bit filthy on some of the commentators and the panelists on the desk because it was almost as if they didn't watch the game. Yes, Brayley had number 7 on his back, but he he didn't play there.
The talk was how good was Brayley at 7, which you're right, he didn't play there. And also the asterisk was, the Storm were without Jerome Hughes.
Yeah.
Sorry, what? We're without both halves. Oh no, the Storm were without Jerome Hughes. The Sharks were a shoe-in. No, I think we're paying like $5 or something. Not quite, but I'm blind.
Yeah, the Sharks were a good bet. I remember my brother Andrew saying they were a good bet in that match. But Atkinson was absolutely terrific and did get the 3 points. And as you can see there, yeah, the 3-2-1s were Atco, Brayley, and McInnes because that was essentially the 3 halfbacks with none of them actually playing halfback.
Controversy over was it Harry Grant? Was it Grant or Munster? One of them sin bin for the late hit on Atkinson.
Yeah, it
was pretty soft. Pretty soft.
Yeah, I've got that in my notes here. It was a soft.
We don't talk about that one.
Nah, we got
Harry Grant. Fortunate sin bin is what I've got in my notes here from that one. All right, so then the Sharkies. Well, they then head to Magic Round for an epic win over the Roosters, which sees what a match this was. It was just back and forth. It was like a basketball game. Ronaldo did a brilliant bit of work milking a sin bin. Nico kicked some 40-20s. That Roosters try on halftime was super annoying. The penalty goal to get us ahead by 8 was important, and then that Tommy crash play closing it out at the end because we were actually only ahead by 2 points. Look, you guys remember this one well because it's famous for the most famous of moments on the ET Stand podcast where Matty Williams shuts the debrief off halfway through. And we were flying on our new podcast. We're like, yeah, we've got like heaps of viewers watching us. Matty Williams, end stream. All over.
Muscle memory. But if for anyone who wants to talk about Nico and, hey, I'm looking at you, the entire rugby league media, Brandy, where are you? Go watch this game and tell me Nico is not a halfback. My goodness, he was on fire with a calf injury too that affected him the following week, and then things went downhill from there. It was 38-30, you are correct.
Yeah, it was 38-30.
38-30, which we were down 24-20 at halftime, I think it was. And then we won the second half 18 points to 4. and probably shouldn't have conceded to, I think it was Dom Young as well. That try right on halftime was classic Sharks brain fart at its best, but around that, what we scored early through Kennedy, and then a lot of the tries, like short balls. So Nico was short ball to Wilton through a gap, short ball to Nico through a gap, just cut out passes to Mulatalo to score, was kicking a 40-20s, was everywhere. And that was peak Nico and peak Origin talk. And then stuff went downhill from there. But gee, it was good to win. And it was our first win in, I suppose you'd argue Melbourne was in front of a big crowd. This was huge. 52,000.
Was it our first Magic Round win? No, it wasn't. Because
no, we won there back in 2019 against the Titans on the Friday night in front of half a crowd. This was prime time, match of the round, 52,000 at Suncorp going, against the Roosters. No way the Sharks can win. And we won and won well. We probably should have won by more. We shouldn't have conceded the second half. Final score should have been 38-24, 38-18 if we didn't concede right on halftime.
Stephen?
It was just great. It was just great.
It was good, wasn't it?
We came off the high from the week previous against the Melbourne Storm. There was certainly that air of we can't do it twice. And we just played really well. Completion rate was high, time in possession was high. We were a well-rounded footy team that day, and it showed on the scoreboard. It was awesome.
Indeed. And special shout thanks to my top 12 for allowing us to make mistakes on the scores. Yes, it was 38-30 against the Roosters, and Harley correcting me there, 25-18. Sorry, guys, I don't claim to be perfect, but yeah, hey, if we got the results right, who cares? I'd rather 34-26 sounds better. All right, so heading out of the first 11 rounds, Williams 2.0 comes through. Not looking forward to the next lot of games. So let's just close it out there. So at the end of the 2024 season, the rounds 11, 1 to 11, because
round 2 of the finals against the Cowboys.
Well, no, actually, like the NRLW, the NRL should just run for 10 rounds and the Sharks are minor premiers. What are you talking about? Because look at that. After 11 rounds, the Sharks were top of the table on 20 points. Goodness me. Like, it's just funny to think about. We were even 2 points clear.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Someone mentioned streak.
And then someone mentioned the streak, and it all went to poo.
We're on the streak. And then also just looking at our 3-2-1s, just how dominant Nicho Hynes was as the Sharks player leading in to this period of time, and how well he'd done. Like, what a terrific start of the season. And any of the Nicho doubters out there, go back and watch the start of this season, and you'll start to become a believer again, because Nicho was absolutely tremendous. So then as it turned, yep.
It was genuine too. So we weren't talking Ruan Sim scoring. He not watched the game, give Nicho 3 points. He was genuine standout. He was, I suppose, you don't get named in the halves for Origin for nothing. Genuine standout, and I genuinely believe, having watched a few of these games or highlights back, how much he was injured is significant to the back end of this season. Don't judge his form on what the media were talking about when he came back from injury late this year. He's not the same player.
No, he's certainly not. But interestingly enough, look at the 3-2-1 scores for Braden Trindle. After 11 rounds, he's on 1 point. With Nicho on 14, Talakai on 7. As we press in, and look, Williams 2.0, we're going to...
Well, he was away. He was on suspension.
But the Cowboys game, I think I put Trindle's man of the match, that Cowboys game at home. I thought he was our man of the match. But
well, that's why we're going to have a better system next season, Matty, for the 3-2-1s, because we know this ChatGPT system, and whoever we talked about the most is clearly going to be flawed, because it just is. Anyway, so I gave us an A, was the score that I gave us for the first rounds 1 to 11. Can't quite be an A+, because we lost one game, but certainly an A, top of the table. You beauty, heading into a mouth-watering clash with the Penrith Panthers, which Matthew Williams predicted we would win. And, well, we all know how that went. Crash plays, bloody from them. They just sharks the Sharks. Unforced errors. I actually asked, when I asked the who was the man of the match of the AI for the Sharks, it said Liam Martin and Jerome bloody Luai, because we just talked about them so much. We let in simple try off the scrums. Nicho got that concussion and didn't come back. we just got absolutely pumped.
Tries from kicks. I'll give my son another, I suppose, shout out here. So myself, Lats, and a few others, my brother, Bryn, we're all standing around talking pre-game, and Ronan's there watching intently. He goes, Sione hasn't moved. The physio's been working on him for ages. And you're right, he's out there in the warm-up getting his hammy worked over by the physio, and then goes out and has an absolute shocker. So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. He dropped the first kick, just a regulation downfield kick, dropped it, and then they scored. And then I think they scored again shortly afterwards. We're down 10-0 after 10 minutes. And we weren't looking on, and they were looking crisp and red hot, and it was all downhill from there. So, yeah.
Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Then we had the Parramatta Eels.
Insipid.
With Matty's still angry about this one because this was the match where
I was there.
You were there and you called into the dial-in and you were heaps pissed off. So
I was driving. Yeah, yuck. We were just not in this game at all. We all looked half asleep. I don't know if it was a lack of energy thing or what. It's a long season, but we just got steamrolled. Mitch Moses probably had his best game all year, apart from that Origin 3 game, which I'd argue probably not his best game, considering that the rest of New South Wales played amazing as well. But yeah, no, that was terrible.
We got back into it after scoring, and then we immediately made an error. It was just a classic Sharks match.
Hamlin Welly, we scored, and Hamlin Welly dropped the ball, and that was that.
Franco?
Yeah, this was sort of insult to injury for Nico in this one, because the way that Moses played in this match, he just set the field on fire. He was in everything.
And Nico didn't play, did he? I think he didn't back up after Origin. Yeah.
Correct. I'm pretty... Ooh. No, I think he did. I think he did play. Check the tape, but there was certainly a lot of discussion around...
No, it was Trindle and Atkinson.
Trindle and Atkinson.
Yeah.
Well, it was
and
certainly...
Actually, that makes sense because, this is before Origin 1. I think Hines had been named, so he was not playing.
So he was in the
remember,
squad.
Hines was named in the shellacking, and then Moses came back and carved Nico's team.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. All right, so then we have the Broncos match in round 14. Talakai in the second row. They had that barnstorming, unstoppable try. Interestingly enough, the description it called out that Hunt, Talakai, and Kennedy again got the 3-2-1s because this was the period of time where Hunt was just coming off the bench and was top of the tiers and was just on absolute fire. Trindle also got that running try and was starting to show some promise. We had that awesome flick pass from Talakai as well. And geez, this was a much needed win against the Broncos at the time. Franco?
Yeah, this was good, really good sort of showing up there in Queensland where we know we don't play well. And it was also, I want to say, getting back to form. We sort of had from memory, we were back to four forwards on the bench. And we just went straight down the middle and it worked. And we're like, here we go. This is the plan. This is how we play. And let's just rinse, repeat. Let's go. A lot of optimism off the back of this match.
Matty, were you feeling optimistic?
Absolutely. There was all the talk in the media before because the Broncos have been out of form. Was the Broncos were going to steamroll the Sharks? So the Sharks are out of form. They're falling back to the pack. I think we had we had slow starts, and you're right, Royce Hunt came off the bench and carved up. But we had a quality start, and we were looking the better side. And then they scored their first try. Can't remember who it was, whether it was Ezra Mam or Reece Walsh. It was definitely a case of I think Katoni Staggs got tackled, and the referee didn't call held when he should have, and he kept going. Poor memory, but I remember feeling ripped off about that one. And then were we down at halftime, and then just fired at the blocks and scored 3 tries, I think, from memory. Anyway, great win.
12-4 at halftime.
Yeah, that's right.
So great win to come back like that and win like that. Similar, Brisbane was proved to be poor, as was Parramatta, but great win in the context of the season. To win twice at Suncorp is just unheard of. So in front of a big crowd too, I think it's 42,000 or something silly there. So really good result.
And the next match was a home match against the Dolphins. And boy, was this one frustrating. And you were thinking after the 28-12 win over the Broncos, that we were going to get back into this one. They were ahead for at the start of this, and then we were just absolutely storming back into this one. But then, just that absolute turning point moment where the hammer try, where he went the length of the field to score and absolutely break the hearts of the Sharks. And one major moment I noticed was actually the Nickera tries and those Nickera involvements where he tends to do something brilliant, tends to be in the key moments, and he did get us that try towards the end of the match, well, basically at the end of the match. And then poor Nico with the conversion to tie it up was not able to get the kick from the sideline, and he was a 95% kicker at the time. And although Nico can't bloody do stuff in key moments, I'm like, well, I thought that was a bit harsh on Nico, given that he'd been such a good goal kicker for us. Royce Hunt was also pretty strong in that match as well. Franco, what are your memories of this one?
No memories. This is terrible.
Terrible. Williams? Nothing.
You can't get 22-0 down at home at Shark Park.
Yep.
That was like peak poor form, peak poor starts. And then we come back and lead 24-22. I think Nico kicked 3 from the sideline prior to that to lead. And then unfortunately that hammer try, which, gosh, anyway. And then the media, you're right. The one kick that Nico needed to get, he should have got. He was the best kicker in the comp. I think he probably had the best stats all year.
He had the best percentage other than Atkinson.
Yeah.
He would never missed a kick.
Yeah.
He had the best stats.
Yeah. And I mean, Atkinson did kick a clutch one against Newcastle later in the year to get us, was it back within 2 or whatever it was. But yeah, like the fact that the media, anyway, I'm done with talking about the media, but yeah, unfortunately, Nico didn't get that one from the sideline, which would have been awesome to tie it up and potentially win. But the Dolphins, they ambushed us as Wayne Bennett teams tend to do.
And they were in good form at this point, the Dolphins. They were, close to the top 4 and one of the top teams. So then we had the bye. Then we roll into the next week versus the Bulldogs. And God, Toby Rudolph, you will want to forget this match. This was the one we saw the Trindle effort where he looped around the back after the kick, which we also saw him do later. Nico couldn't kick it from the sideline. But, it was also the story of the damn missed field goals. And those 2 bad Toby Rudolph, the penalty where he tackled the guy without the ball when he wasn't going to get it, and then also the error that led to the dropout. Boy, were we pumped up and angry with Toby Rudolph at the time. Franco, you remember the angst towards Toby?
Yeah, it was. I don't want to say over the top because emotions were certainly running hot at the time, but once everything had settled, he had come out himself and said he let the team down in this match. He didn't play to his standards. He ended up being dropped by Fitzy for the next match. Didn't pout, didn't complain, just rolled up his sleeves, had a good game for Newtown, and then worked his way back into the team. And I do think that this was a bit of a turning point for him. He wasn't doing badly up until this point. This certainly being the low light of the season for him. But after this, he really started putting back in and went on a north trajectory for the rest of the season, I believe.
All right, moving on. Then we had the Titans match where the Sharks are bloody unlucky in this match. There was the unlucky Talakai sin bin. Kennedy had that disallowed try for the Billy Slater kicking the ball out of his hands play. Atkinson jagged the try on the wing. They were just super unlucky. Matty?
Oh, this one, I don't think we touched the ball in the first 15 minutes. So all the talk was about the start. Royce Hunt was starting to kind of try and abate that because we had a horror start against the Bulldogs, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Eels, the Panthers. And then all the talks about the start, all the talks about the start, all the talks about the start. And then I think, did we drop it from the kickoff or something silly? And then we didn't touch it again. I think that the Titans were only up 10-0 after having basically 100% possession after 10 minutes or something stupid. And then we work our way back in. Nico scored and still it just wasn't enough. It's just, that was peak frustration. I remember Franco and I doing the debrief on that one, and that was particularly, let's say, emotional amongst all the comments coming through. It was, I think, peak, this is difficult kind of thing for me. But anyway, things started to look up after it.
And then we had the we had the Tigers round 19 match, and boy, didn't we need this one, where we just absolutely shellacked them, and Trindle carved them up. We had Trindle and Atkinson starting to really look like they were in it. It was funny. I remember talking to the Tigers guys, and they were like, Happy Coruscant was so unlucky to be sin bin. I'm like, God, it was like a clear sin bin for Happy Coruscant. And one thing going back and looking at this season, the sin binnings are actually absolutely critical. The fast shifts from the Sharks to out wide. And we also had that try where Ronaldo had the kick return and then made that break and then threw it to Trindle, and then Trindle ran for a bit and then got it back to Ronaldo, which was also, it's a terrific match. This one, we absolutely blitzed him.
I think we were 12-6 up at the time that Appy got sin bin. So we were 12-0 up. They just scored the third try to bring back to 12-6. And then I think it was a break. I can't remember who from. And then Brayley was the one that got the quick play.
It was
the ball
Brayley.
Ran straight at Coruscant and got the sin bin off. I think it was referee Adam G. Good play. I remember
Great
live
sin bin.
watching going.
Great work.
That's a definite sin bin. And then watching the slow motion replay going, that's harsh. And then watching the replay again going, no, that's a definite sin bin.
Franco?
Good result.
58-6. Done.
But it was against the Tigers who were last, so who cares? So that was the middle of the season. So goodness me, 2 wins out of 7, and somehow the Sharks are still holding on to a top 4 spot. But in that period of time, the Storm were basically unblemished and just raced ahead and just kicked away from us. And then you can also see in the 3-2-1s, Nico didn't bother the scorers. Talakai just seems to get points when we lose matches. And then you can see Trindle starting to prop up the tally, getting up to 5 points. So it was a tough middle of the year for the Sharkies. And maybe the writing was on the wall that, it wasn't going to be a good season for us and we shouldn't have believed coming into the end. But yeah, that part of the season, I'm giving us a D-. Wasn't an F, but it was pretty bad. Yeah. Fair grade, Franco?
Yep, fair grade.
Fair grade. All right, then we have the end of the season. So then we go on a bit of a run after the Cowboys 30-22 loss. Look, Trindle had the 40-20. Brandon Hemuletti set up a good try. This was the Liam Ison on debut match, and Kyle Felt being a dick. How'd that work out for you, Kyle Felt? Yeah, where are you now, dickhead? But yeah, I felt the Sharks, maybe their scoreline flattered us a little bit with that try at the end. What'd you make of this one at this time? Williams?
Cowboys were all over us, unfortunately, this one. I think we had a few windows of hope in the first half. They scored first, we got back. They scored again, we got back. Similar to, I suppose, the year before, and that we weren't given much hope, and then we kind of hung with them, and then Nico and our forwards, I think from memory, Royce Hunt and Tommy Hazelton scoring for us in Townsville got us through. But this one, the Cowboys, what felt with a hat-trick from Ronaldo. I think that constant kind of talk of him not staying on his wing, which I think we were talking in depth about around that time, going, it's not his fault, it's the defense inside of him.
Yeah.
Right. It was pretty poor.
Then we had the Souths match, which was a nice win for us. It was 20-6, the correct scoreline from this match. Who knows? It seems to be.
That was correct.
There we go. Clearly cut and paste from earlier with Trindle man of the match. This was the one where Stone Street got denied all those tries. It was close until the last 20 minutes, and then we kicked away, and then Talakai set up a key try at the end. And this was also the match where Talakai and Iro were in the – Talakai was centre and Iro was on the wing for 10 minutes. And that was actually a key moment in the match where it turned everything around because those two teamed up for a brilliant 10-minute window. And I remember me on the debrief afterwards saying, Talakai and Iro, what a combination. And me getting hounded down by the Sharks fans at the time saying, there's no way Iro's going to play on the wing with Talakai, you idiot. But that was the turning point, and it also put an end to South Sydney's season because they needed to win that match to remain in touch. Franco, you remember doing that one with me?
I don't, mate. Sorry. Apologies. To be fair, I do remember there being a couple of errors on your part in that debrief, and a bunch of commenters coming in to try and correct you. And after being corrected, you then went and made the same mistake again, which was pretty funny.
What was the error?
I'm pretty sure it was the Talakai and Iro combination. I think it was not. That was not the combination. I think was my memory. But anyway, I have to double check. There was something there.
What from that match?
Yeah, you kept saying it, and everyone kept correcting you, and you kept
No,
Funny.
it was
Yeah.
that match. Let's go back and watch the tape.
Was
No,
it
I'm
what
definitely
happened?
right.
Was
What
it
are you talking about?
Ronaldo? Was Ronaldo HIA'd, I think, and that's what resulted in Euro going to
Yeah,
the
someone. Yeah, that's right. One of them was
bin? Yeah.
HIA. and
Anyway,
so
I just
Euro went
remember
to
it
the
being
win.
a dreadful game. I was at a kid's birthday party watching the first half, like half watching on my phone, going, "Gosh, what is going on?" South had a like horrific team, and we were down 6-0, and then we were dropping the ball and playing horrid. And then it was really Trindle that stood up in the second half to kind of steer the ship. And actually, Trindle showed his worth as a halfback and the ability
Yeah, he's
to
starting to
game
get going.
manage, and got us back, and we won comfortably. But we should have. At that point in time, we're like, we aren't go. Maybe we're not going to finals, but we're not going to do much if we do make it.
That's true. All right, then we had the round 23 match against the Titans where we absolutely pumped them. Crash
Now we're
plays,
talking.
Stone Street intercepts. They had a sin bin. Atkinson set up a really nice try for Ramian. I thought this was the match where Iro really started to get going, and Jack Williams was noticeably in the starting 13 and got the points, and the Chocolates in the 3-2-1. This was oh yeah, we're back, baby, and starting to set up for the end of the finals. We'll just keep this one moving along. Then we had the 1918 win.
Get out of jail.
Over the get out of jail. I thought Atkinson looked really good as a running player in this one. And then that's right. There was
needed 2 halves. So we got away with the second time. So
that's right.
Was the first
Yeah.
game. Titans were the second game. I think we had Trindle out late with hamstring awareness was the injury. Not hamstring soreness, not hamstring twinge, hamstring awareness. I remember there was all the talk. I think we got Francis on as soon as Fitzgibbon said that, and Trindle said that as well in the interview on Fox Sports. I'm like, he's done his hammy. He's going to be out for about 4 weeks here, depending on if it's a low grade 4 weeks, and he was. We smashed the Titans, but the Knights found us out. We're up 10-0 early, and then the Knights have shut down Atkinson, and McInnes was the other half, and he's not a ball player. And then our entire attack was just stifled. And unfortunately for Atkinson, I think it good early and really clutch plays with the sideline conversion and the field goal. But it proved as well that you need to play with 2 halves if you want, because we couldn't even break down Newcastle. Newcastle are not the best team in the comp, far from it. And we really struggled in the second half. We were gone at 18-10.
Then we had the Dragons match where we pretty much pumped them.
Huge result.
That's right. And Ramian was put in the sin bin, wasn't he? They got the early ball. Iro got a try where they threw him the ball early and he just got him. Stone Street was playing well, which made me think in my notes, are we a team with good wingers, or are we just a team that's set up for our wingers to get tries? There was that awesome try where Kennedy caught it and ran the length. And Hiroti got the try at the death. And so we've got 4 in a row at this point. We're starting to think, yep, we're coming good here. Franco, you love the matches against the Dragons.
I love it. I think it's the best grudge match derby in the NRL. I won't hear any noise or tomfoolery from the press about the book of feuds and the silver tails. None of that garbage. It's Sharks v Dragons. That is the true local
NRL
derby.
rivalry.
That is it. There's nothing else better. I love it. And we got them twice this year. Done.
The reserves we showed, we were up early, and then that Ramian Simbin came directly from, I think it was a Dragons knock on into an offside. They picked it up, all the Sharks players, like, hey, where's at minimum knock on at actual correct our penalty?
Yep.
And then Ramian unfortunately hit, I can't remember who it was, high. And then we challenged, and then Ashley Klein cheekily said, you can challenge it if you want, but it's still foul play and the penalty's still going against you regardless. And then goes Ramian 10 the bin. And I thought that was real. Like, he was being a jerk, for want of a better term, as I slander the bloke. But yeah, it was just so frustrating that if he did his job, or the other, how many eyes looking at the game actually called up and pulled up the foul play that occurred just prior, you wouldn't be in that position. We go down a man, Dragons go downfield and score, and you're in front of a full house at Wollongong, and the media riding the Dragons and everyone tipping the Dragons. You're like, oh, here we go. And to come out and then win 38-10, awesome result.
Well, you're talking about frustration. The next match was frustrating indeed. God, the Sean Johnson farewell match, which was started off with a Sean Johnson to Franco's favourite, Luke Metcalf, scoring a try against the Sharkies. Trindle set up a nice try in this one. We saw some good pace from Sam Stronestreet. This match also saw the return of Nico Hines. That Nico Hines disallowed try was telling at 22-4, which was a little bit unlucky. Iro got sin bin when we were closing down a try, and he was just charging across, which was a bit tough. And then, goodness me, that on the death bloody try was just painful, wasn't it, Matty?
Oh, this was game management to a T, and I teed off after it, going, hopefully the team learns from it, but did they not? I don't know. Just showed immaturity for mine, and just the Sean Johnson ridiculousness. That's icing on the cake in the negative. But yeah, it was a game that never have got to that position, and it did, and it just showed everything wrong with the team, or all the flaws anyway.
Yeah, it was another one of those ones where we were in front, we kept pressure on, few disallowed tries, and then the Warriors just kept coming at us, and you could see the old Sharky nerves creep in, and they kept going to that same right edge.
We had was it Atkinson in the centres, and they kept exposing that. I think as well. Like it's
and then obviously with a minute to go and playing expansive football instead of just tucking it under your wing.
That's right. This was the match where they had the two passes off the
McInnes
from dummy half to McInnes to Jack Williams. That's right. And the famous photo of Jack Williams where Chris Kelly took it and he's sitting on the Jack Williams. Oh no, all right, let's move on. So then we had the last round. I was at this one live out at Manly, a 40-20 win. It was a bit of a nothing game because the Sharks position was already secured, wasn't at this point. Nico Hines was back. Manly had to win. Yeah,
Manly had to win. So full house at Brookvale. It sold out by I think Monday or Sunday. You miraculously got a ticket somehow.
Yep.
And Manly had to win, and Manly were fired up, and they were right in the contest. And I think they were kind of, I wouldn't say they're bullying us, but they were going toe to toe with us for a period. They were without Tommy Turbo, and that was all. They were full strength otherwise. And for us to turn around and just basically hang with them while the crowd and the emotion was there against Manly with all that history, and then to suddenly put 40 on them. And I think the 20 points was probably flattering to Manly. I think it was 40 points to 10 at one stage. Huge. First time in our history to win 3 consecutive matches at Brookvale. Not going to slander John Morris here, but he had a pretty experienced team in 2019 against a no-name Manly side at Brookvale, and they in a final, and he couldn't get him up for it. And Fitzgibbons got 3 in a row at Manly. Good result.
You're not allowed to talk ill of John Morris on this podcast, Matty. What are you doing?
You already just did.
What are you doing? All right, so the Sharks then go into the finals in 4th position on 38 points, 6 points off the minor premiership. And looking back at those matches, we easily could have gotten those 6 points. And you're right at the top of the show. Chris Kelly was right. We could have been pushing and battling for that minor premiership with that Bulldogs match, and the Titans lost and the Warriors won. That would have been enough for us to be close on the for and against with the with Melbourne Storm.
That's only
20
points
off. That might we probably would. We probably needed to win 4 matches that we didn't win to get the minor premiership, which is a lot, but we're certainly in it. So from that part of the season, I'm giving us a B for Boldo, I guess. Promising, but not quite getting us there.
B for Brayley. That's where he started to stand up.
Britain.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so then we're heading into the final series. So week 1 of the finals, look, we all remember how this went. Kennedy dropped the damn ball off the kickoff. Sharks got back into it with a nice try with Nico and Talakai, and then we had the flick pass. And then just some errors in the second half. We just ran out of gas against the Melbourne Storm that were just relentless. I think this match proved also that we should have run with the 4 forwards. And we were also missing, we were missing Ramian in this match, which was also telling. Nikora was the clear standout man of the match from the Sharks' perspective. Franco and I debriefed and talked on this one at length at the time. Maddie, what was your commentaries on this one?
Just frustrating. I know you were there, but just dropping it from the kickoff and then just key errors. Nico missing touch. I know that with the reason behind it. I think it was revealed on Sharkcast was the fact he had the grippy stuff on his hand and it got stuck to his hand or didn't release properly, and then he shanked it. That's not going to happen again. At least you'd hope. Like early in the second half, Jack Williams penalty on the last tackle. And then they put us under pressure, under the pump, and then finally score. Key stuff. Getting back to 14-10 at halftime, I had shades of the 2016 game against the Raiders going, right, we're in this. Let's just get some 50-50 ball and go from there. But we just didn't. So I just hope in future going forward that it's a big game. We got experience out of it. And those young players that I mentioned at the start of the show, they're all less than 100 games. They're starting to hit that experience mark now of 100 games going forward, that they take these big games and use that experience in the big moments next year and beyond to convert those results.
Franco?
The second half, Melbourne just put on a clinic. They tore us to pieces. You're right, Williams, we went in at the break thinking we're in this. We've just got to stick with them and we could jag a win here. But Melbourne Storm came out and absolutely put us to the sword. It just showed why they were the minor premiers.
I argue if we get 50% of the ball, this is a team that has the ability to do stuff like that. We went down there twice and got 2 tries. That's a frustrating thing. It was the scoreline flattered Melbourne. Really, we hung in and they scored late tries. It was frustrating. It reminded me of when we played them down there in 2022. So it was the first big test that we had, and the same thing. We hung in there late, and then they scored 2 or 3 tries late to blow it out. Same thing. It's just frustrating.
Oh, well, but then we go on to week 2. Let's go, baby. And the Sharks are back with arguably the greatest individual performance in the finals match, maybe ever, with Braden Trindle.
Cool.
Just absolutely, well, maybe ever. But it was all about Braden Trindle with a penalty try. The one where he looped around the back for that try that any winger would be happy with. We did let them back into it with that Katoa drop. But yeah,
that McInnes try, that McInnes second try was mammoth. So that was,
and then also them kicking it out on the fall off the dropout. I felt we're also unlucky in this match not to have a couple of tries
in the second half. 2 tries in the second half were one of them was definitely a no try. The other one there was the Katoa one, and there was one on the left and one on the right. I can't remember who the other one was, but yeah, they were unlucky to be not given.
That's true. I'll just answer this comment through from SJD. Are you doing the prize draw tonight and rig it so I win? Yes and no. So yes, we are doing the prize tonight, and no, we're not rigging it so you win. But it is coming up. I've even got a little wheel thing that's going to spin around. So who knows what's going to happen on that front. All right, so then the Sharkies head through to the prelim that was promised against the Penrith Panthers. Had a look. We know how this one went. The Panthers were just too good for us. The 40-20 from Trindle I thought would have been a bit of a game changer. We didn't quite get that. Dylan Edwards reads it and keeps it in, whereas when Cleary does that to us, our guys aren't anywhere near it. I still think that Cleary passed the ball forward for that first Panthers try. There were a couple of key moments where Talakai kept us in it, where he milked the no try and also tackled the guy over the edge. And interestingly enough, my individual chat on Talakai pushed him to the 3 points in the 3-2-1, but I decided that I should alter it and excluded my commentary on Talakai from the 3-2-1 in this one, and it ended up giving it to Trindle, which is telling for the end of the season. That Katoa try was also a brilliant individual try. But the Panthers are just a quality team, and it just showed that their halves are just a little bit better than ours and their forward pack just a little bit better than ours, Franco.
It's looking at the score line of 26-6. It's hard to say we were in it, but it really felt like we were in it. It was, for a fair point of that game, we were performing better than a lot of people had expected us to. And at some point in that match, there was that same belief that we had against the Melbourne Storm. We thought, you know what, there could be something special here. And then, it just all fell to pieces, which was a sad way to end the season. But if you've got to lose to the eventual winners, then I guess at least try and make a match out of it. And I feel that we did, especially when you compare it to the scoreline when we played them earlier on in the season.
Losing Ramian and having Iro injured as he was, it's just key outs. 10-6 with 20 to go. Panthers were actually genuinely concerned, I think. And just the frustrating thing, having watched it, is just that the opportunities were there. If a full strength side that makes the right decisions, I think we do win. That sounds ridiculous, but I thought Nico was quiet watching it back.
We certainly don't lose 26-6, Matty.
No, we don't. And I think
we don't lose 26-6. You're
Oh,
right,
shit,
though. Ramian being out, him getting up for that Cowboys match was remarkable, really. It's such a bummer.
If buts and maybes, that bomb, if Ronaldo knocks it back into Nico's arms and he scores and we're up 8-2, well, yeah, different game. And then we score points, we're 10-6 down, 20 to go, here we go. And then Kafusi drops it on the fourth and the Panthers score straight away. That's just quality teams. And it's, frustrating.
Which leads Boldo to give us a C+ score for the final series. 2 losses, 1 win. I guess C+ or C's an average kind of mark. We did all right, but we didn't do anything outrageously brilliant. It's what we expect from the finals. The three of us certainly predicted that we would win one finals match and bow out at this point. But it's certainly set up for the Sharkies for next season, and I'm looking forward to putting ourselves to the test against the Panthers in round 1. But we did start off the season stronger and had a really bad middle, came back at the end a little bit, but kind of limped out of the finals, was my key takeaway. Which led me to, here we go. Here's the end of the 3-2-1 score. So Trindle took it out in the end with 21 points, narrowly over Sifa Talakai, with Britton Nakora on 19 points. Nico finished on 16 points. Remember, he was on 14 points after the start of the season with Kennedy, Brayley. And then Ronaldo really didn't trouble the scorers at the end of the season too. Yes, Matty?
What happened to nobody named? City on 2 points.
Oh, well, it didn't fit as well, so I deleted them. And actually, they got a couple more. Nobody named actually ended up on 5 points because there was another match. There was another match where we just were super angry and they got all of them.
I suppose, spoiler alert for the Tigers fans watching this show, that nobody named topped your count. But good thing we're not there.
What's your take on that as a 3-2-1 indication for the season that was, Franco? You think Trindle was the best player for us this year?
He certainly ended on a high.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was our best, at least not by, I'm just going to say by that margin, but he's in front by only 1 point. I do think that
if Talakai gets the points the way that it thought it should have, from me in the last match, Talakai wins.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think Talakai should win, given that it seemed to, the ChatGPTs just seemed to skew towards whatever I said last. And Talakai actually didn't have that good a game at the end. He just did those 2
I just feel the spread between Brayley there on 12 points and Trindle on 21 is a bit wide. I think that should probably tighten up a bit. Yeah.
Well, next year we're going to have a more official 3-2-1 voting, and everyone will get to vote, and we'll have that end ET stand player of the year so that there's no conjecture. Matthew, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same with Franco. I think that spread's a bit too far. I think it's indicative that we've seen players like Trindle and Brayley step forward, and Nicola as well step forward. Talakai change his role and step forward as well. I think Talakai from the centres, a lot of quiet games last year, so maybe he's actually having more impact off the bench. Kennedy's probably overinflated there. He had a good start to the season. He's copping a bit of stick lately. And Ronaldo, your wingers don't tend to be the best players. So I suppose they finish tries, but they're not as influential. Like a winger's not going to win a Clive Churchill, for example. So interesting.
I think what was telling for me is Talakai and the losing teams tended to score points.
Yeah.
So when we got beaten, it's like, oh, well, Talakai came on and he ran hard, or he did this, and he had those moments where it
notice his influence.
And so you noticed his influence. So overall, the final grade, I gave the Sharks a B+ for the season. not quite winning the premiership, not quite getting to the grand final. But as Rob says, we were in it. Certainly were. Good to see you, Goat Shark. So I'm going to give us a B+. So that was the final season review. So I'll remove that screen and so that led me to then conclude that this should now be Boldo's end of season player tiers based on what I thought, having gone back and watched every single game. So strap yourself in for a rich tapestry of player analysis for the Cronulla Sharks players from 2025. Franco's already smiling at what's coming here. I haven't themed it. I was going to theme it something amusing, and I just thought, I just couldn't quite make it.
So just to clarify, this is for the whole year. This is not the last month.
Well, it's kind of skewed towards the end of the year, but keeping in mind the start of the year as well. But it is skewed towards the end of the year. So lowest tier, we've got Kate Dykes and Jesse Colhoun, because quite frankly, fellas, I just cannot wait to see you again, Miley Cyrus. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys come back. So I'm going to put you at the bottom of the tiers because you are certainly gone this season, but not forgotten. However, someone that should be forgotten, and thank you for the memories, Jack Williams. You are towards the bottom of Boldo's player tiers for the end of the season. It's no stone for that era. Someone's got to be at the bottom, Matty.
Oh, I think Jack cops a lot of unreasonable stick, and I have no relation to the guy. But anyway, I'll let you, Lats and Kelly, continue your Jack bashing.
Congratulations on your contract with Parramatta Eels. I'm sure you'll be very successful. Next on the tiers for me for the end of the season, well, these two guys, I'm just not sure how they're going to make the team. And for two very sadly different reasons. Stone Street's going to be really hard to get into the team past Ronaldo Mulitalo and Sione Katoa, but he had a terrific end of the season, and the fact that he's a replacement winger and is ahead of some pretty good players. And then also joining him on that tier is Braden Hanlon-Ueli. Given the form that he was in at patches during the season, you saw the times when you wanted him to do that for us, but he just couldn't do it at the end of the season. He was pretty good in those grand finals for the Jets. And he did talk up with Aiden Fanua-Blake that he wanted to play with him. Hopefully the off-season can improve for him, but I'm just not sure that he's going to be able to make the team next year. Next tier, well, 2025, it might be your last with the Sharks, and for different reasons. Will Kennedy, there's going to be pressure on you from the young players coming through, and also you're going to test yourself on the market. Cam McInnes is coming towards the end of his career, and Dan Atkinson, I'm not sure you're going to be able to make the team either, and you might shop yourself elsewhere, but maybe Trindle goes elsewhere. How will the two fit into three? Not sure, but 2025 might be the last year for these three guys with the Cronulla Sharkies. On to the next. Well, these guys are all solid first graders now with Oren Kafuzi, Teague, Kailiro, and Tommy Hazelton, all solid first graders that are in the team that you will see figuring for us next season. I thought they all had key moments throughout and definitely stood up. Iro certainly nailed down that centre spot. Teague was great when he came back. Oregon Kafuzi nailed the starting spot, so we'll see these guys next season. On to the next. These guys, well, they were good in patches. Toby, great in patches. Some matches he was absolutely critical. And Sione, some other key tries, but also some key errors, but noticeably down. Typically at times we weren't able to split Sione, Katoa, and Ronaldo Mulitalo, but he's noticeably down on where he is. And if I was going to put Stone Street in the team, it would be for Sione Katoa. On the next, these guys, well, they need to find the next level, and all for different reasons. Jesse Ramian, Blake Brayley, great players. Can you find that next level and make it into the state of origin? And Royce Hunt, well, you're going to the West Tigers, and for you to be NRL level relevant, you are going to have to find the next level because the Tigers are pretty rubbish. And so you're going to have to play way beyond that you played for us. Yes, Matthew?
Latest news, David Bolton is defecting to the West Tigers podcast and is bidding us farewell. Goodbye, David. Talking about Royce Hunt, find the next level. Who cares? Goodbye. Thanks for the memories, Royce. I don't care whether you're playing first grade or what. You're earning your money. All the best. Need to find the next level? Please.
He needs to find the next level, Matty, because otherwise he's going to be on a wooden spoon team.
He's earning his money. He's got his payday. Good on him. All the best to him and the family. He'll probably go at Swan Song in England.
I thought Royce had a great season, Matty. Come on.
He did.
He did.
Need to find
He
that.
had a good
It's
season.
thanks for the memories. Next level for another
I
team.
could have put him down the low.
Go away.
All right, next level. Still good, but had bad seasons by their standards. Nico Hines and Ronaldo Mulatalo. Nico Hines was on fire at the start of the season, and so I'm just elevating him up a little bit more than you might think. He also wasn't too bad in those last couple of weeks, and I think he's going to turn the corner again and be back better than ever next season. And Ronaldo Mulatalo started the season well, but yeah, he didn't score very many points or very few points for us on the 3-2-1s towards the end of the season. On to the next. Well, he got the most 3-2-1 points, kind of, but just wasn't having enough minutes. So how can you be the top player if you're a bench player? Well, you just can't be, despite the fact that you're the darling of the ET Stand podcast. Sorry, Sifa Talakai, but we've got to find a way to get you more minutes. On to the next, Britton Nickera. He was the player of the year for the Sharks. And for mine, he was the player of the year for the Sharkies and also on the 3-2-1. He had a terrific season. He is absolutely critical for the Sharks in the clutch moments. But undeniably, right now, red hot, right now is Braden Trindle. He has to be top of the Sharks player tiers, according to Boldo and the esteemed panel, based on the end of the 2025 season. Braden Trindle, congratulations. You round out the season as the top player, rounding out 2024. Franco, what's your reaction to the tiers? Who moves up? Who moves down on your view?
Yeah, I mean, McInnes is a little bit hard done by there. I know he's 30 and still has 2025 under wraps, but I think he sticks around. You look at that whole roster there, we are lacking experience, and we do know that he will try his guts out. Maybe a sneaky double year contract for him, and I think he will stick around. He loves the joint. He's the captain of the club, and pretty sure Fitzy appreciates what he brings on and off the field. I think Sione, obviously there were a few glaring errors in a couple of games, but he was pretty solid all season. I feel as though he probably had a better season than Mulatalo holistically. So I would say he was really good there. And you know what? Mulatalo suffered from losing his buddy outside him. The shift from Talakai to the bench directly resulted in his dip in productivity and performance, and troubling the scorers. So yeah.
So you put Ronaldo down a couple and Sione up a few?
I do.
Matty?
I'd like to commend you on a set of tiers that look a bit more structurally sound than some of the other ones.
I did a bit more editing this time. I made the squares the same size.
Yes, it could structurally work. I'm not an engineer, but it looks a bit more reasonable. I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing. Ideally, you want everyone up the top. But yeah, we're not sure how you make the team. I think Stone Street and BHU will still have key roles next year. Both positions have injuries involved. Katoa and Mulatalo can find their way to an injury, do need a rest. They're both physical players. Stone Street will be a ready-made replacement for them. And hopefully going forward, if and when one of them leaves for whatever reason, he's the next man up and will hopefully have a long and fruitful career for us. While BHU, hopefully he works his way back in the team. You do need a lot of props in this game to have an impact. 2022 showed that. Last year for us showed that as well. I'm hopeful that BHU will have more of an impact. Whilst looking at it, yeah, I'd like to see Brails find the next level. I think it was a bit harsh on Ramian. I think Ramian did find the next level and was exceptional for us in the back end of the season.
He was good.
Yeah, so I think Ramian I would slide up there. Trindle, red hot right now, which is fantastic for him given how much of a bit part player he was in 2022. And he was maligned for a long period of time, looked great before the suspension, came back and did well. So I don't think he's an 800K or $1 million half or whatever the media wants to tell you. I hope that he sticks around though, because we've shown a lot of faith and I suppose confidence and I suppose just giving him a lot of leeway. Hopefully he repays the club. So I think we're in a good position.
2.0's come through in the comments just saying, are you trying to upset me, Boldo? By saying what Sam Stone Street not making. I'm just not sure how he makes the team regularly, I guess, is the comment there. He might, BHU and Stone Street might be fill in bit part players, but I'm just not sure how they make the team. I could also have put Tapua in that not sure how you make the team row as well. He was probably a bit harsh not to not to make it into the group. Yes, Matty.
There's talk of extending to Pearl, but this time last year we were talking about Iro. All the talk was Iro needs to be in the team, but we don't know how. And then he goes and plays almost a full season. I think you may see Stone Street yet.
Rob's come through in the comments asking, no Ison in your list, Boldo. I thought about putting the lower grade players in. I'm just not sure. I guess Ison, he would. I'm just not sure I want to see Ison before I see Cade Dykes. I think I want to see Cade Dykes get a bit more of a run in the team. I think Ison can use a bit more time in the lower grades. Franco, what's your take on Ison versus Cade Dykes?
Yeah, Dykes is bit of a sad story with the injuries he's had to face the last couple of years. Certainly a lot of reps on him, certainly the possibility of a high ceiling, bigger body. I think he's more suited to utility, so could get some more games through that. We talked about does Atkinson stick around, given that there's potentially Trindle and Hines in front of him, and if he doesn't want that utility role, you kind of see how Dykes could maybe fill that role. Wing, centre, fullback, and in a pinch, maybe in the halves, because he has played in all of those positions for the lower grades. But Ison has a bit of a future ahead of him, so it will be interesting to see how he progresses. But he's still young; he's still eligible for flag next year, playing up in Newtown. So give him another year in Newtown, I reckon, and take it from there.
2.0's come through in the comments. Based on injuries, you may only get to see Ison. Injuries do run in the family, it seems. Yes, the Dykes family. We can't say Cade's name too often, actually, because we'll get banned on YouTube. Matty, last commentary on the tiers for the end of the year.
They look good. They're your best yet. That makes sense. It's taken me about 12 months to figure out what's going on with the tiers, but I finally have. So thank you.
All right, perfect. That was the player tiers. We'll remove them, switch to that view. All right, let's look. Last thing we've got to do. We have been supported by displayware.com.au, good friends of the show that have provided me with a bunch of what do you call them? Displayware units that allow me to show off my famous Sharks different paraphernalias. Got to get one for Matty so that he's got one in the background. And they were very kind enough to provide us with one for a prize for the best commenter for the end of the season. So I'm just going to present share screen and go to the window view, which lets you in on seeing my screen. All right. So you guys can see that okay?
Yes.
I can.
Okay, so there were 8 comments. So it was Pezza, Ryan, Shauno, Humanican, Williams 2.0, Paul, Dean 180, and Harley were all in the draw to win a Displayware unit that's valued at about 150 to 180 bucks. So when I hit this thing, whoever is the winner of this...
JD's not even in it.
Oh, he's not. We better put him in it. There we go. Hold on. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. That's updated. Jeez, it would have been rigged. Imagine that, Franco.
Good pickup.
Oh, good pickup. All right. Now, if anyone else is not in and I missed you, then I guess I probably owe you a Displayware unit. You can have one of mine. All right. This is the draw. This person is the winner of the Displayware unit.
Tony Barber, John Burgess.
Oh,
And it is.
Oh.
And it is Dean 180.
There we go.
There you go, Dean 180. You were watching at the start of the show. Congratulations, Dean 180. You are the winner of a lovely Displayware unit. I'll hit stop screen. So do get in contact with us. Send us your details, and we'll get on to sending one of those out to you.
Don't worry about buying a vowel. You've just got yourself some Displayware.
There you go. There he goes. SJD. I was in the draw. There you go. But you didn't win. Sorry, SJD. Well, you are the coach, SJD. And if you would like to buy yourself a displayware.com.au, then feel free to go to displayware.com.au. If you somehow put in a comment there that you know me, I think they'll try and find you a discount. So other than that, that was the season review, fellas. So thank you for going on that trip down memory lane. I'll round out with give you both a chance to just reflect on what are your key takeaways from the season and also looking forward ahead to 2025. Franco, I'll start with you.
I think we have improved. We've certainly improved. The defense this season was much better than the last 2 seasons. So, there was a lot of chatter about, improving our defense and making sure that we turn up for each other. And I feel as though this season showed that we are working towards a better all-round team. The slow starts were a bit of a funny scenario. Wasn't really an issue while we were on our hot streak because our ends were just so strong, and that we were kind of in a position where we could win from anywhere. And then whether it's a case of being found out or fatigue, the slow starts were getting to us. We weren't able to come back and turn it around. So thankfully, I do think we sort of arrested that before the end of the season. We sort of leveled it out, but we also kind of lost our strong finishes at the same time. So probably a bit more tweaking to do there. It'll be interesting to see how we come out in attack next year, with a full off season, maybe a bit different understanding of who plays where. Not to mention AFB coming in like a bullet.
Williams, your key takeaways?
I'm reflective over the last 3 years. 2022 was a false dawn, plenty of excitement, but we obviously didn't rightly. The media chat was correct in that we didn't stand up against the big teams. 2023 was hamstrung by fading Matt Moylan and the inadvertent impact that had on the left edge defence and the entire structure of the team, both with and without the ball, had to be rectified. It was late in the season. We limped into the finals and then had that result. This year, huge growing year. So a lot of players ticked over the 100-game mark. I've mentioned it 3 times now. Hopefully that's key experience-wise. Penrith didn't become the powerhouse they were, the juggernaut they were overnight. They were the butt of every joke for years, going Gus's 5-year plans into year 7, year 8, year 9. And look at them now. I'm not saying we were going to win 4 comps in a row, but that is a huge year. We had results over, Melbourne Roosters, a win in the finals, some big wins against Manly and the Dragons away from home in front of hostile crowds that the 2023 season, the 2023 team wouldn't have won, and maybe the 22 team wouldn't have won either. So huge growth, doing it as well without Finucane and Hamlin Willie basically had 2 starting props, and also 2, you can argue, without our star halfback for the entire second half of the year. So he was injured and came back and wasn't at the same form. The Sharks were in the media a lot previously where we're not spoken about it at all. The hysteria around Nico is just unbelievable and ridiculous and repetitive and tiresome. And I fantasize over him winning a comp and sticking the finger up to everyone. I don't think it's going to happen, but gosh, that would be amazing. So it's very exciting. Is 2025 going to be the year? I don't think so, but some moving and shaking over the next, after November 1, really will indicate whether we can grow from next year and take the next step or not.
Yeah, I think all of that's right. I think the Sharks are building towards a better 2025. I think we've exchanged a couple of, B forwards for an A+ one with Aiden Fanua-Blake. I think a couple of injuries did us in at the end of the season. Nico will certainly be better, and we're back better than ever for next season. So we'll get that. Now, Rob's come through in the comments saying that he was not there and he's unsubbing. So were you? Did you get a? Should you have been in the draw, Rob? Was he in the finals? I can't remember.
He should not be in the draw. Rob declined when he was nominated for a funny comment. He said, "Nope, thanks guys, but don't give me."
That's
one.
right, he did.
From my memory, he said, "Nope, I don't want one. Don't put me in there."
That's right, he did.
Because he was someone who called in, so he should have been probably given a larger wedge.
He was pretty good.
We love your call-ins, Rob. Keep them coming.
I'll tell you what, Rob, when we do one next season, because we'll do one of these again, I will just put you in the draw. Because we do like you, Rob. But there'll be a whole bunch. We got plenty of more displayware ones. But yeah, congratulations to Dean. And then, yeah, I've just put my email address all over YouTube. So I look forward to all of the spam that I'm going to cop tomorrow. So that'll be good fun. Sure, I'll be fine, won't I, Franco?
Nope.
Probably. Never mind. All right, guys. Well, that was the ET Stands podcast review of the 2024 season. Thank you to my dear co-host Stephen Franklin and Matthew Williams. We had a good time running through that one. We'll be back every single week with Tuesday night episodes. I think next week we should do maybe do the fans dial in next week and see what viewers thought of the season, or we could do your St. George chat. I'm sure Franco and I will think of something. And then the week after that, we've got a special guest. Ex-Sharks chairman will be joining the ET Stand panel. Well, I think he said that he'll join, but you never know with that man. Yes. Have I not told you about that yet, Matthew?
No, I'll chat to you offline. Sounds exciting.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's good. All right, guys, that was the ET Stand. For me and Franco Williams, we'll see you guys next time. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.